So it's Black History Month, and here on Premier Gospel, we are celebrating Black excellence today. I have got the legend with me. Like, when you talk about someone who knows all things that's going on in the world of Christianity here in the UK, and she may try to refute this because she's really humble, but someone who knows everything that's going on in the world of, gospel, we're talking about none other than Marcia Dixon, the recipient of multiple awards. MBE being one of them as well. We're going to talk about all this stuff. But first of all, we're celebrating her 35 years in media. Marcia,
Belinda,
congratulations.
thank you. I was so surprised to receive the call from Tola rather.
Tola, yeah.
Tola, saying that you wanted to interview me because I was not going to celebrate or do anything about my landmark years working in media. But on Friday morning, I woke up and I just felt in my spirit that I should write something on social media about it. And I'm glad that I did. I did it from the unctioning of the Lord, I believe.
Oh, let the church say amen.
Amen. Amen.
No, I'm so glad that you did, because it'd be easy to not even realize the amount of years. Like, you look so well, you look so young, and you've stayed current, which is one of the questions I want to talk to you about a little bit later on, just how you stayed so current. You'd never have thought it's been 35 years, but it's quite a huge achievement. Can you take us back to kind of the early days when you decided this was going to be my career path? What was that decision-making process?
Well, it kind of happened. I would say that I got led into it because what had happened when I was in my early 20s. Actually, I started this when I was 5. No, not really. In my early 20s, I was studying really to be. I had dreams to be a social worker. So I was doing a degree in social sciences at South Bank University. And those days we used to get a grant, and I was supplementing my grant by working at the Voice newspaper, doing receptionist work. And then what happened? The person who was doing soul stirrings before me, she got promoted. My friend who was head of the marketing manager, was given the task of finding someone to do the soul stirrings page. And she said, "Who can do the page?" And I said, "Me." And that's how I got the job. So I give you that background to say it was not my plan to really be a gospel journalist or anything like that. I just fell into it whilst I was, the opportunity arose whilst I was doing part-time work at The Voice while studying for my degree. And it just kind of grew. I loved it. Gospel music, writing pieces about the issues of the day. And it's kind of like I just felt that this is what I should be doing. And that's why I've continued in it.
Wow. I did not know that. I did
Learn
not know
something
that.
every day.
What was it that gave you the confidence when they said, "Who's going to do this?" And you said you put yourself forward?
When you're young, you have confidence. Like you're just young in it. You're not thinking. I just thought me. You know, looking back, I don't know what made me say me, but I just said me, and the rest is history. I loved it. I loved my job. There was a point where I thought I had the best job in the world. Going to the gospel concerts, interviewing the gospel artists, meeting the church leaders. I loved my job. I really, really did.
We could tell, because the what you were writing was brilliant. And I remember just going places and see, oh, there's Marcia again. Oh, there's Marcia
How
again.
is
Oh,
it?
Marcia's here. Those times I was a little bit shy, I didn't really want to come up to you, because for me, it was like, that's Marcia Dixon. But I do remember, I don't know if you recall the first time, I can't remember the event that I was at, and you came up to me, he goes, "Oh, hi, you're Belinda. You manage Marky T." And I thought, Marcia Dixon knows me and she's talking to me.
Oh, cool. Really terrible. It's because like you're in the church field, and for me, I'm Marcia. God has given me this thing, not realizing that people kind of think of you in a particular way. So if I know that somebody has been appointed to something, I'll go and I'll say, "Hi, how you doing?" or whatever, not realizing, like you, they're going, "She spoke to me and she knows my name." Sorry, I'm joking, but you know what it is. And Marketing was a good artist. Is he still performing?
No, he's retired now. He says
Yeah,
he's
busy.
Still DJing and everything, but yeah, retired from the artist side. They were trying to pull him back in. But I
He's a
really love
guitarist.
how you have been a huge supporter of artists here in the UK and really, pushing them forward. Can you tell us, in terms of your career and its development over the last 35 years, obviously what we have seen is success, 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 and it being it looks really easy. Has there been a time in your career path where you thought, nah, this isn't for me? I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do this anymore. Or you felt like your journey has been derailed in any way?
I wouldn't say my journey has been derailed, or I thought, at times I would think, Lord, let me get married so I can retire and go and have some babies and stuff like that. I would say the most difficult thing would be more so in my early years, in my 20s and a little bit of my 30s, because when I first started, I was a little bit critical. Like if I was to do a review of a concert, I'd be very open and very honest about how I felt about it. And I don't think that our industry was mature enough to take comments that weren't the most positive. So I would say that that would be the most difficult, because sometimes people would let me know. On reflection, was I a bit hard? Maybe, but I think it was good to be truthful. And I remember one time I did a review of a choir that will remain nameless, and I was very honest about it. And I'm only not saying their name just out of respect, but they thanked me for the review because it made them go and do what they did better. Because I think sometimes what can happen is that we're so busy saying how great everybody is, and sometimes they're not great. Sometimes they need to be better than what they are. And but some people, not a lot of people, are prepared for honesty, particularly if you're an artist and you're quite happy with where you're at and you think that you're great. But sometimes it's good to hear honest talk. And I think that for me, given that honest talk, I paid a little bit of a price for it, but saw it go. Saw it go.
But I think it was definitely needed, and sometimes even now, what would you say is your approach to giving that feedback? Because there's been times when I've spoken to certain artists, and I'd be like, "This song isn't quite ready, and these are the reasons why I think it is," and then you get that response of, "Well, this is how God gave it to me." So, what do you
Yeah,
say back to that?
um, there's a Jamaican saying, good, better, best. And sometimes just because God has given you something doesn't mean that you can't perfect it or hone it or make it better. And that's kind of like, back in those days, there was always that kind of tension between the American gospel scene and the British gospel scene, because UK artists would feel that, oh, people pay the money to go and see the Americans and blah, 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 blah. But what we were really paying to see was excellence, excellence in terms of music, in terms of delivery, in terms of performance, and just the whole overall experience. And there's a few artists that can provide that now, but back then, not necessarily. However, back then I used to follow British artists before I started doing the page. I don't know if you've heard the Spirit of Watts with Misha Paris ages ago. I was a fan of theirs. I'd be at the concert go, more, sorry, more. I used to really love them. Angelical Voice Choir, I was part of them for a while, but when I wasn't, I would follow them. LCGC, I used to go to all their concerts. I loved the Trumpets of Zion. So, I was a fan of British gospel. Shirley Fenty, great singer, used to sing. She used to sing this song, "I Won't Give Up." Loved it. There were some really good artists and British artists doing really great performances and providing really great musical moments for me.
Brilliant. And in addition to you really supporting artists in the music scene, you also a big supporter of women in ministry, women in business, church ministries as well. What's kind of brought you down that lane?
Well, with regards to women in ministry, that's kind of like been a recent thing. But what it came out of the fact of me being in the church a long time and seeing women in ministry, and I'm talking women who preach and teach or whatever, but them kind of struggling. And I felt that they were struggling because they weren't really fully adopting the way that men went about ministry. Because I think that when it comes to being successful in ministry, and when for me success is this, because I know we've as Christians, you know, success is one person, and yeah, that is success. But for me, if you're running a ministry and if you're pouring money and effort into your ministry, for me, success means that you're impacting people's lives. When you hold events, people turn up, so it's full, that it's you're not losing excessive amounts of money that you get to a point where you start crying because you're saying, Lord, I'm doing all of this and people ain't supporting me. I'm about giving you strategies so you can get that support, so that people will come to your event, so that you will have greater impact. And I just really wanted to help women, just kind of uplift them, inspire them, encourage them, and give them the tools so that they could build impacting ministries. And I'm really pleased to say that I've helped some women to do that. With regards to church ministries, I'm a Christian. I want to see the gospel preached. God has blessed me that I've worked with prominent churches, seen the impact that they've had in terms of encouraging people to come into the church and hear the gospel message, as well as impact the wider community. I'm a church girl, you know, I've been saved since I was 15. So I want to see the kingdom of God grow. I want to see the message of the gospel preached. I want to see people get saved. So if I can do that through the work, my media work that I do, I'm all for it.
Brilliant. Question: 35 years in ministry. You started in, you know, with your pieces in the Voice newspaper, and you've gone on to write amazing things elsewhere. And then also you use your social media as a great place for engagement and conversation. How have you stayed relevant?
I've stayed relevant by I like to read. I don't read books so much anymore. I used to in the past, but what I do is that I read newspapers, I read articles, I you know, Google now sends me a list of things that I could be interested in. There's YouTube. I like to know what the arguments are, what the discussions are. I want to know what people's what people are interested in. And I read social media. I go through social media. I see what people are talking about. I keep my ear to the ground. I just like to know what's happening. Like for instance, I know some of the kind of I've heard some of the names of some of the up and coming young artists that are, you know, that could be my children, possibly my grandchildren. I don't know. I might not be familiar with their music, but I will have heard their name because I just like to know who's kind of considered hot, who's happening and stuff like that.
Yeah. Brilliant. And what would you say to someone now? Let's say we went back to your career maybe 5 years in, and there could be someone in that position now, and they just need that kind of little bit of a oomph. What would you say to them to kind of keep them going?
I think I've focused my energy on writing about what's happening within Christendom, but the Black Christian community in particular. If they're writing about faith, issues to do with faith, you have to be passionate about it because it's not a fashionable aspect of media. It's not like entertainment. It's not like, you know, writing about business or general news. It's kind of like a niche area. I've kept in it because I love gospel music. You know, I
Mhm.
was brought up on choir music and, you know, great vocalists. I love it. Do you understand what I mean? It's, you know, it's writing the column has given me entry into this world where I got to go to concerts for free. So I'm getting excited about all the concerts. I went to, you know, top Kurt Franklin, Hezekiah Walker, Take Six, CC Winans, Yolanda Adams, Vanessa Bell Armstrong, the Walter Hawkins singers, Commission, Fred Hammond. Oh my days. The Winans, oh my days. Do you understand what I mean? Music that I'm excited about. So it's unique, you know. If you get tired, you pray because you're, you know, when you kind of write about God, which is I've done that very openly, is that it's a form of preaching that you're doing. So you have to really believe in the message, I would say to somebody. Be passionate about it. Love what you do. Believe that what you do kind of makes a difference, not just only in this world, but in the world to come. I'm in my early days, and you know, when you're young, you do what you do. You're not really thinking that much about the impact that it's having. And I remember back then we didn't have social media. I think we didn't have emails then either when I started. It was letters. And I think the facts existed. So if people felt anything about what I wrote, they would write letters, and letters take time. And I remember one person, I think it was a woman, she wrote to say that my article stopped her from committing suicide. And it's those kind of moments that you like to hear about, because it makes you know what you've written has had an impact.
Wow. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Before I let you go, there's a question I want to ask. As we're kind of approaching 2024, we kind of get to the end of a year and we start to plan what next year is going to be looking like, what new business ventures are going to be coming out, what new ministries someone may be wanting to get going. What would you say are 5 top PR mistakes that people should steer clear of?
Oh, um, oversharing. People overshare on social media. I know things about people that I shouldn't really know. Be mindful of what you share on social media. That's, particularly as an individual and stuff, really deep personal stuff. Unless you feel, and this is for Christians really, unless you feel that God is directing you, tell your friend about it. You don't need to, it doesn't need to be on social media. Too much oversharing. What else would I say? That's the key one for me, because I think social media is a really great tool. Don't try to spend too much time on it, I would say. Um, don't believe everything you see, particularly with regards to um, couples and their relationships. There's people who you're looking at and you're feeling quite envious because they look all loved up, and they have problems in their marriages. Some most probably will even be splitting as you're looking at their pictures. So don't believe everything that you read on social media. Some people are using it, the term is smokes and mirrors,
Yeah.
in the sense that they're, presenting this perfect picture to the world when behind it it's total chaos. What else would I say about things to avoid? If you're on social media and you're on it with a purpose, i.e., you've got a particular message you want to share, or you want to raise awareness of your business or whatever, develop a. So too many people are not strategic about how they use social media. I think it's important to use it strategically. And then I would say for churches, I would say that it's so important that you have a strategy in terms of PR, social media, etc. Don't be reactive. Be strategic about how you promote what you're doing, making people aware of what you're doing. One of the great things about working at The Voice and now working at Keep the Faith is that both publications or both media provided a platform where churches could share what they were doing, black churches in particular. I've also Keep the Faith also has a website as well. And what I find is that churches don't realize the importance of utilizing these platforms and getting information out about what they're doing. So sometimes when you talk to people, and this is people outside of the church community and even people within it, within the black church community, oftentimes, apart from our Sunday services, they don't know what we do. And they don't know what we do because we're not sharing what we do, even on social media. If you've got a community project, if you're touching and saving lives through your ministry, if your churches are growing, if you've got people within your church who've got fantastic testimonies of God's saving power, his deliverance, his healing power, you should be letting the world know about it. You should be utilizing the tools that are there, social media, newsletters, etc. E-newsletters if you don't want to pay anybody, because there's so much free tools as well. But church in the 21st century has to be done differently from how it was when I first started out doing The Voice and now Keep the Faith. There's so many brilliant tools out there, video, Zoom, so many things channels of communication that you can use to get your message out. But it's important to be strategic about how you do it, and be strategic about reaching people that are not necessarily within your church network. So because it's so easy as church organizations, whether that's an independent church or a denomination, to be kind of locked in to just your people, when really we have to be outward facing. Is that a term they use in HR? Outward facing?
It sure is. It's true though. It's very easy for us to get caught up in just our own four walls and, you know, our church members, or even if it's just like you mentioned within our denomination. I'm like, it was never really, I don't believe, intended to be so. It was supposed to be, we're all one, denominate, no matter what the denomination is. And once you get that message, you run with it. You don't just stay there and keep preaching it to each other. So thank you so much for sharing that. What's next for Marcia Dixon?
Well, what's next for me? What I'm hoping for 2024 is I want to write another book. So I wrote a book called Black, Christian and Single. Yay, to all my writers who contributed to that book. I'd like to write one called Black, Christian and Dating. So focus on that, because no matter what your age is, unfortunately, it's a hot issue and stuff, particularly within Black communities and Caribbean communities in particular. Did you know that 57% of Black Caribbean women are single? Never married.
I didn't know it was that high.
65% never married. 57% never married. 65% are single. So that would include lone parents, divorcees, widows, etc., which is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about the figures for other communities. It's a lot, and we know, maybe you don't know, but we know that it's a long-standing issue within our community. So I want to do one about dating, because people have concerns about dating in this era. I'd like to do more public speaking in ministries, as well as in corporate stages, about PR, personal branding, visibility, influence, all that kind of thing. And you may know that I'm a publisher for a magazine, so I just really want that magazine, Keep the Faith, to grow, really, and just spread the good news about what God is doing in our churches, you know, because I just think the gospel, I just think it's fantastic. That's what my work is about, really. It's kind of influenced by my faith, what I believe, and just want to help churches get the word out there about and ministries and gospel artists about the great things that God is doing in their lives. So really, that's my focus.
Brilliant. Marcia Dixon, thank you so much for your time today. How can people subscribe to Keep the Faith magazine, and how can they stay connected with you?
All right, they can stay connected. They can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the platforms. Marcia Dixon on LinkedIn. Marcia Dixon PR on all other platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And in terms of getting in contact with me, they can contact me with regards to anything to do with Keep the Faith at editor@keepthefaith.co.uk.
Amazing. Now I'm going to put this out there. If you're not following Marcia Dixon, you need to be. Especially if you want some good entertainment, good jokes, and also, you know, Christian related topics. It's happening there, right there on Facebook. So I follow you on Facebook, and I don't think there's a time where I've gone on there and I'm like, let me just check out what Marcia is talking about, because I know that's where the hot topic is going to be. Definitely. I love how you've kept it current. I like how you share your personal views on things. You're really honest about everything, and you're really vulnerable on there as well, which we don't often see. Yeah, man. I think there's certain things you put out. I was like, I see what she's saying. I'm not always convinced that when you say asking on behalf of a friend, or a friend told me, I don't always know if it's a friend.
Most of the time it's a friend, actually. A lot of the time it's a friend. It is a friend.
Yeah, wink, wink. But it's all good.
That's too funny.
No, honestly, Marcia, thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant catching up with you, and I'm no doubts we will be doing this again soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.